September 11th, 2001, a day of unimaginable tragedy. Thousands of lives were lost, and heroes on the ground rushed into danger to save others. But in the skies above Pennsylvania, 40 passengers and crew made a sacrifice that saved thousands more and prevented a historic attack on the very heart of American democracy. This is the story of Flight 93. On the way to the visitor center, guests find themselves walking the exact path of the final moments of Flight 93. Black granite inlays along the path mark key events from that morning, beginning with the moment the first plane struck the World Trade Center, the attack on the Pentagon, and finally the timeline counting down to the crash of Flight 93 here in this field. The towering Porter walls rise like a gateway, drawing you toward the visitor center while framing the sky above. Walking this path is like stepping back into history, tracing the events of September 11th as they unfolded in real time. Staring out over a field that was common one day and has since become a field of honor. What began as a typical, normal Tuesday morning with beautiful blue skies stretched across the vast majority of the nation, history would soon drastically change. An airplane less than half full of average people on a routine flight, people with families, careers, hobbies, loves, and dreams, would soon face unimaginable circumstances. The sounds of breaking news coverage and shocked reactions surround guests as they relive the tense, surreal moments of surprise, fear, horror, and anxiety. Yet the events of 9/11 were not an isolated incident, but rather stem back decades at the crossroads of religious and political fanaticism and the tail end of the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States. Flight 93 was part of a calculated plan to attack the symbolic targets of American commerce, military power, and of American democracy itself. Amidst the chaos and confusion in the skies of September 11th, the FAA and the U.S. military scrambled to intercept hijacked planes. But Flight 93 had already crashed before clear orders could be confirmed and carried out. But from here, the Flight 93 memorial takes a sudden turn from the events of 9/11 itself to the specific actions of the brave heroes of Flight 93. From the back of the plane, passengers and crew were able to call their loved ones. Several of these final messages are preserved here for visitors to listen to. Beginning around 9:30 a.m., they learned of the other attacks that morning and realized this was not just an isolated hijacking, but part of a coordinated assault on the nation. Coincidentally, Flight 93 had been delayed about 40 minutes before takeoff. That delay gave the passengers time to connect the dots and to understand the stakes. Had the flight departed on schedule, they may never have known the ultimate fate of the airplane's destination, and they may never have prevented a catastrophe at the U.S. Capitol building and the elected officials inside.
Generations people will study the story of Flight 93. They will learn that individual choices make a difference. That love and sacrifice can triumph over evil and hate. And that what happened above this Pennsylvania field ranks among the most courageous acts in American history.
The entire country, an incalculable gift. They saved the Capitol from attack. They saved God knows how many lives. They saved the terrorists from claiming the symbolic victory of smashing the center of American life. And they did it as citizens. Ordinary people, given no time at all to decide, did the right thing.
The Flight 93 Memorial is a solemn place discussing the story of 9/11 from so many angles, but it's also a place of celebration because it's here where 40 individuals, just regular common citizens, just became heroes, just saving thousands of lives on nothing more than just a brief few minutes to figure out something. No matter fight or flight, every human is different. Every human reacts differently, but every human is a human. And humans can be heroes to save others. And that, despite the solemn nature of respect in this place for those who lost their lives, it also is a celebration of the heroism of common, average, ordinary Americans going about their daily business. From the visitor center of the Flight 93 Memorial, the flight path deck, the pathway continues by the marble wall. And down this memorial, more marble wall, from the visitor center looks like a solid, singular marble wall. However, although they were unified as one, these are individual marble columns representing the individual human beings, everyday, normal American citizens, just living their lives and with no time really to think, came up with a plan in a short period of time to save the lives of thousands. These individual names do represent heroes. Heroes, average American citizens who gave everything they could. All of them equal. The flight path continues to this gate made of hemlock. The hemlock trees, many of them just destroyed in the wreckage, so the hemlock is symbolic. But this gate remains closed. And you can see the flight path to the crash site memorialized by that boulder. That boulder taken from the location where the Tower of Heroes now stands. This gate remains closed. It is opened once a year on September 11th, and only for the family members of those who died here on that site. About 2.5 miles from here, near the entrance to the park, stands the Tower of Voices. Rising symbolically to a height of 93 feet, the tower contains 40 large wind-powered chimes, one for each passenger and crew member. Serving as both a visual beacon amidst the open fields and capturing the winds cleanly before the landscape changes, the tower produces both harmonies and dissonance, representing the unity and courage of those aboard Flight 93, standing in stark contrast to the chaos of the unfolding events of that fateful September morning. To see the mechanisms inside the Tower of Voices. Captures the wind. Requires 12 to 15 mile-an-hour winds. This is a touching and fitting tribute. The Flight 93 Memorial, run by the National Park Service, is not the only memorial to Flight 93. The locals were also heavily involved in their neighborhood in a very tiny rural area.
And so here, they've created a living tribute, the Remember Me Rose Garden. Rose bushes bloom during rose bush blooming season. Rose bushes all around. This would be very beautiful. Inside of a star-shaped landscape. The center.
In the months and years that followed, a nonprofit formed by the families of the victims purchased large areas of land surrounding the crash site to protect it from over-commercialization. Collaborating with the local community, the Remember Me Rose Garden was created as a park dedicated to interfaith reflection and remembrance, honoring each of the 40 heroes of Flight 93 by name. On September 11, 2001, the nation was forever changed. The actions of the passengers and crew of Flight 93 turned tragedy into heroism, preventing an even greater catastrophe and inspiring a legacy of unity and resilience. These 40 heroes of Flight 93, ordinary people who, when faced with unthinkable circumstances, rose to extraordinary courage. And as we reflect on this memorial today, may we remember not only how that day unfolded, but also the strength and courage that rose above it.